talking rhythm guitar, and specifically the types of parts used in soul and R&B music. So let's get into it. So this is probably the most common and recognizable type of part to play in this style of music. All we're doing is essentially locking in with the snare drum on the backbeat, beats 2 and 4 of the measure, and playing these sort of staccato chord jabs that are often referred to as a chank. So for this, it's really important to know your triad groupings because these types of parts are often played on the top 3 or 4 strings. So the chord progression we're playing is C major, D minor, F major, and G major. So if we know our triads for those chords, there's C major, D minor, F major, and G major. We can play any combination of those to come up with a part. In the example I played, this for C major, this for D minor, this for F major, and this for G major, but we could easily play something down lower on the neck, like this for C, this for D minor, that for F, and that for G. So knowing those triad groupings really helps with visualizing parts and coming up with different variations on this. From there, it's really just a matter of locking in with that backbeat, locking in with that snare drum, and making sure that you're really blending in with the rhythm section. Okay, so something we can add to our backbeat part is a single note line that follows the bass line. For this example, I'm basically following the chords and playing some notes from the major pentatonic scale combined with some chord tones. So over the C major chord, I'm playing out of the C major pentatonic scale. Over D minor, I'm playing some notes from a D minor 7 arpeggio, some chord tones. So the flat 3, the 5, and the flat 7 of D minor 7. Then over F, I'm playing F major pentatonic. Then G, I'm going back to C major pentatonic because we're heading back to C. Alright, so we can also combine these two parts, the chanks and the bass line part, into one rhythm part, something like this. Right, so this is a great type of guitar part to play if you're the only guitar player in the band and you want to fill in the sound but still keep things relatively simple. We're basically just complementing the rhythm section. We've got those chanks hitting with the snare drum on the 2 and 4, and then we're doubling the bass line. So this is a part that really blends in with the rhythm section and really complements what the other musicians are playing. So we've got two really tight staccato parts already happening. If we want to add another part to this equation, we need something that's not going to clash rhythmically. So some nice, long, sustaining, held out arpeggiated chords are a really nice way to add some extra color to what we already have happening. Now I like to add a little tremolo to a part like this, just to give it a little bit of movement. Basically, we can just move through the chord changes, arpeggiating through the chords and letting them ring out. Now, another really common thing we can add to this are some little embellishments where we sort of hammer on and pull off different extensions on top of the chords. This is a really go-to technique in this style of music. So over the C, we can do little things like that, basically out of the major pentatonic, just adding some extra notes on top of the chord. Over D minor, over F major, and then over G. Right, so little things like that just give this part a little extra color. You want to be, subtle with the way you use these types of things. You don't want to overplay. All these parts have to marry together. So, you'll always have to be listening to what other musicians are playing. If you're layering parts on a recording, listen to the other parts that you play and how they interplay with one another so that you're not clashing with other things that are happening in the music. Okay, so the last thing we're going to add to this are some rhythm guitar fills. Now, in this style of music, double stops are really the go-to technique for coming up with fills. Now, a double stop is just playing two notes at the same time, usually separated by an interval of a third, a fourth, or a sixth. Now, this chord progression is in the key of C major, and all these chords are diatonic to the key of C major. So we can start out by just playing through a C major scale and harmonizing it in these different intervals. So if we do thirds, we get this. If we do fourths, we get this. If we do sixths, we get this. Now, of course, we can stretch this out across the fretboard. We can play these horizontally on string sets, like. But basically, this is the material we're going to use to come up with different fills. Now, the fun really begins when we start blending together different intervals. So playing thirds combined with fourths, thirds, sixes, and then following along with the chords. Now, all these chords are diatonic, so all of these shapes will work, but we just kind of have to find the right ones and make the adjustments to fit over the different chords. So I'll play through a few examples of some different fills, and I'll have the tabs on the bottom of the screen. So hopefully this lesson gives you some insight on how to layer together parts and blend in with a rhythm section in this style of music. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Feel free to come join me on Patreon for backing tracks, tabs, all that sort of stuff. And I really appreciate the support. So take care, and I'll see you next time.